we're going to talk about how to keep your clients coming back using email marketing as a tool to be able to achieve this. Please remember that this session is being recorded. The breakout session is not. If you haven't already joined our Facebook group, I did take this screenshot maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, and it's the number of members is a little bit bigger now. This is a great place to share what you've been working on, to get some feedback, to get some ideas rolling, and learn from each other. Today we are over here. We are on week number 6. And we are very excited about it. I hope that you guys have had a good progression and a good way to, start incorporating all of this new knowledge. We know it's a lot, but you're gonna have more time after this program to be able to implement all of this. This one, oopsie. Okay, sorry, things are going crazy. All right, so this program is funded by the EDA and with the partner cities, counties, federal agencies, and nonprofits that we work with. And this is our agenda for the day. We are gonna have a breakout session today. You guys are gonna be working on an email series. On that, I did send the file yesterday, but I will write it on the chat as soon as I introduce you to Rachel. And so you guys have it handy over there. I have the pleasure to introduce you to Raychel Kolen. She is the founder of Muse Marketing and Design. She has been a mentor for RAINmaker probably since day one, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's wonderful. And there are certain areas that she's more passionate about. As a digital marketing professional, she knows a lot of different areas, but she especially likes digital marketing, copy editing, doing the copyright for the website, and all of those things that allow you to be found more easily and to express and connect with your customer in a genuine way that would allow them to converge or to be able to make that decision to do business with you or not. Rachel, we're very happy to have you here. Until recently, she was traveling to Baja California. It looks like she's home now in Oregon. So welcome back, Rachel, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ani. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you all again today. As Ani said, I'm here to talk about email marketing, and we particularly also want to position this as how to keep your clients and customers coming back. So it'll be peppered with some retention ideas as well. So who am I? And you guys you're just seeing my slide, by the way, right? Not notes and all kinds of weird stuff. Okay, great. So I'm Rachel. I live in Eugene, unless I'm in Baja. And I'm the founder and owner of Muse Marketing and Design. And I've been doing marketing for almost 20 years. I can't believe it. And have seen the transition from traditional channels like print and billboards and stuff like that to digital marketing, which is most of the focus of this accelerator. I'm super humbled to be here today. And as Ani said, there's lots of things that I've been involved with over the years, but email marketing is one I'm really passionate about because I feel like it is one of the best ways for small businesses to make money with limited resources. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But what we'll cover today is the stuff you see here. So we're going to talk about how to build your lists, because if you put all this effort into doing your emails, we want to have people to send them to, that they won't do anything for us. What are a few key emails that I would recommend you get started with? How you can increase the effectiveness of your emails, and KPI stands for key performance indicator, which is marketing jargon for data points. So what data should you be looking at to know if this is working for you or not? And then how to select an email service provider, and a few that I recommend. Legal considerations, which I know is a concern of a lot of yours. So know that I'll be getting to that, and we'll talk about some specific things that you can do to avoid maybe some of the pitfalls you've heard other businesses making, and then a few other customer retention ideas. And in the middle of this, we'll go into the breakout session. So why email marketing? Why am I so excited about it? For years, people have been saying email marketing is dead. Marketers killed email. I will tell you, it's definitely true that open rates are not what they used to be. But still, a very typical open rate on a newsletter is like 20%. And that's, if you have a good sized list, that's a lot of people, often more people than are going to see your post on social media. Or, you know, it's a great way to reach a large swath of people. So I love it. I continue to see it being one of the main revenue generators for my clients. It's a channel that, like, yes, there might be promotions folders now and things get sent to spam, but more often than not, if you're working with a reliable email service provider, your emails are getting delivered. And so it's a channel that we own where there are no algorithms. There's not all these tricks to figure out. And so having email addresses is gold. It's an asset for your business. And really it can help you make money. So some stats, in case I haven't convinced you yet, is that really it's the greatest source of leads and revenue for the clients that I work with. This is a national stat. For every dollar spent on email marketing, businesses generally expect $42 in return. And oops. There's 4.3 billion email users worldwide. And by 2025, it's gonna be like half the world's population that's on email. So it's a very well-used marketing channel. A lot of marketers, about a third of them, send their customers 3 to 5 emails a week. So I will say I often hear from clients like, oh, I like 1 email a week is too much. I don't want to annoy my customers, but there's a lot of retailers doing 3 to 5 or maybe even more daily or more than once a day. And if you think about the number of messages we encounter in a day, the last time I looked, it was like 20,000 marketing messages hit us. We see them, we hear them. I know it's rough. And so your message happening once a week or once a month is like just a drop in the bucket. So just know that there's a lot of frequency out there. And a lot of small and medium businesses rely on email marketing for acquisition of new customers as well as retention. And not that I'm recommending giving up social media, but 4 out of 5 marketers on a recent survey said they'd rather give up social media than email marketing because it's so effective and a good use of their time. So we've got a little poll, I think, ready for you. I'd love to know how many of you currently do email marketing for your business. Let's give that a minute. It's so fun to watch the tallies come in. Oh, it's split pretty evenly for those who've answered. Okay. So that's great. There's a good chunk of you who have started email marketing and then a lot of you who haven't. I hope that today, for those of you who are experienced with email marketing, that you leave with at least 1 nugget of new information. I think if you do that, I'll feel like I've done my job here. So for those of you who did say, yes, you've started email marketing, I'd love to know how big is your list, since we're about to talk about list building. Is there something I need to do? There we go.
There it is.
Okay. How big are those email lists? And yes, I don't know is a totally fair answer. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you are like under 1,000. Some of you are in that 10,000 to 49,000 range. Congratulations. Really, it is a huge business asset and something to be proud of. So good job growing that. Okay, and it's okay if you have 0. We're going to talk about how to build the list, which I think applies to everyone. Everyone here could benefit from having a larger list. So ways to build your list: you can mine your existing contacts. Oops, there's that poll. You can mine your existing contacts for email addresses. So a lot of times when I start working with a business, I'm like, do you have an email list? And they say no, or like, yeah, it's only 100 people. But then we realize that they've got, a list of customers over here, and they have a list of event attendees who met them at a booth over here, and another list of people who called them and they had to follow up with them over here. So like really think about all that you have and combine that together into your email list. And I know there may be concerns for those of you who are not in the US, I know we have at least one participant in Europe. Europe is a lot more strict than we are in the US, Canada a little bit more so, and California is kind of in the middle, if any of you are based in California. So generally, you actually can email people who are customers if you're in the US, so long as they haven't opted out already. So often, like a lot of shopping carts will say, do I have permission to email you? If they expressly didn't give you permission, then they don't. But if they haven't opted out, then you can actually include them in your email communications within the US. So anyway, look at all the nooks and crannies for email addresses and make sure that you don't leave any stone unturned. Another great way to get email addresses is if you own a store, or you have in-person interactions with potential customers, you attend trade shows, anything that, make sure you're asking for those emails. And if you need to come up with a reason, like some organizations I've worked with that have a store, the employees say like, I don't want to ask for an email, that feels invasive. We can just say it's part of getting them a virtual receipt. So coming up with reasons why we need to ask for their email in a way that makes it streamlined as a part of your regular business processes can be great. Giveaways with like-minded partners can be super helpful. If the giveaway, a lot of giveaways are social media only, tag this to be entered to win, but you can also do giveaways that lead people to a landing page to ask for an email address. And that's a really great way to get more emails with like-minded partners, being those who aren't competitors, but those who have complementary customer client bases that overlap with who yours might be. This is one specific option that you guys could try, Dojo Mojo. They offer a free month. And so you can go in there and look for other businesses to pair with on giveaways, and they streamline the process and make it pretty easy for you. And it's focused on gaining more email subscribers. And then another idea would be to require email addresses to join your Facebook group. So if you've thought about starting a Facebook group, or you have started one, making this as an entry requirement can help be yet another lead generating source for you. And I would put a little, I know we already had our social media talk last week, but definitely Facebook is still loving groups. It's preferring it in the algorithm. So if you have an idea about something that, your community might want to talk about, starting a Facebook group is not a bad idea for just getting brand awareness. Other really effective ways, a pop-up on your website or in your website footer. I will say the pop-ups, when you first land on a website, or maybe when you go to leave, a little pop-up comes up that says, hey, would you like my 5 steps to better living? Like sign up here, and they get your email address. Those pop-up forms are incredibly effective. They're often like half of my clients' email signups. So highly recommend having those on your website.
So Rachel, somebody here says, so I can rip emails from my email, add them to my MailChimp without asking. Then if they say no, I cannot email them.
Okay, so, and we'll get to legal considerations at the end. So I'll talk more about this. If they're a customer, if they have purchased, a customer or client, they have interacted with you, transacted with your business, you can add them to your email list if you're in the US. If it's just like an interaction with an email and they haven't expressly signed up for anything, then no, you shouldn't be automatically putting them in there. You can create an opt-in email or ask them if it's just a one-on-one communication, would you like to sign up? And you could sign them up. But it's not a good practice to just auto sign people up. But legally, if they have transacted with your business, you're allowed to include them in your email marketing until they opt out, until they unsubscribe. Good question. Thanks. Are there any others we want to add at this time?
Well, I had that one because you were just talking about it and I thought it was very timely.
Yeah, totally.
But you let me know if you want to continue, and then here and there spread a question or not. Sure. You guys can also comment on what you prefer on the chat, and we'll just play it by ear.
Thanks for tracking those, Ani. I am not looking at those at all. So, all right, I've got through these ways to build your list, and we could do another question. So there's on Facebook and LinkedIn, there's specifically lead gen or lead generation ads. They're very cost effective on Facebook, a little more expensive on LinkedIn, but these are a great way to build your list too. So people sign up in the app to subscribe to your email list, and you can integrate that with most email service providers. Like MailChimp can integrate with your Facebook lead gen form, so it automatically feeds into your MailChimp account. But these are also very, very effective at finding new leads. You can create a lead magnet, and
send your nephew a graduation present.
Everybody make sure you're on mute, please. And you can create a lead magnet. Man, Darren's going to talk a little bit more about this in his presentation in coming weeks, but this is like something of value. You have knowledge, you have some information to share. You could create a white paper or an ebook or a free course or a webinar invite or a checklist, some kind of content that you can create and give away is a great reason for someone to part with their email address. And then a value add on social. So you can use your social media account to build your email list as well. So one product-based example is if you're a brand that often goes out of stock and your customers like really want one particular product, you could tell them if they sign up for your email list, it'll be their first notice to know when things are back in stock. Or, if you have exciting new services that you want to launch, like sign up to our email list. We're gonna share a new service offering in the next week. Make sure you're subscribed. So using all of your different marketing channels to support one another can be really effective at building your list. So Ani, is there another question we want to ask right now? That makes sense. And then I'll jump into some key emails for you to get started with.
Some people are worried about getting blacklisted and essentially being called spam.
Yeah.
And also with the limitations that Apple now has with privacy concerns and all of that, like how do you bypass that if that's even possible?
I feel like I'm going to just skip to the legal stuff. I put it at the end because I just feel like it gets boring, but it's something that sounds like, let's see, is of interest. So let me jump into this part of the presentation, and this might answer some of the blacklisting questions and other concerns people have. So there's a number of legal considerations. I talked about giveaways as a great way to build your email list. Just know, be up on that. I'm more familiar with the giveaway requirements in Oregon. They're state by state. So you'll want to read like what's allowed and what's not. Often you have to have a giveaway rules page, like you would build a page on your website that you don't have to link to in your navigation, but that people can access to see when the giveaway begins and ends, how you're selecting people, all of that. So just, and making sure you use specific terms, like we don't want it to be a raffle because then it falls into the lottery world in Oregon. So just be aware that there are some considerations related to giveaways. And then a lot of the things that you guys are talking about relate to some of these regulations. So GDPR is the Europe one. If you have customers in Europe, or if you're based in Europe, get familiar with the requirements here. CCPA applies to California-based customers. So if you have a good size customer base in California, or you're based in California, make sure you're aware of that. It's pretty close to what's required in GDPR. And then Canada has one that's a little less restrictive than California, which is referred to as CASL. And then CAN-SPAM is the US wide regulations. So reading up on those, but a lot of your email service providers are going to keep you out of trouble. Here's some of the things you need to do to avoid your legal issues. So make sure you're obtaining valid consent. And what valid consent means differs whether you're in Europe, California, all those various areas with their different regulations. So you need to make sure if you're in Europe or in Canada, that you are obtaining and storing your records for consumer consent, so you can prove that you got their valid consent. So you need to be able to show that if someone contested, an individual contested, here's the path they followed. Yes, they opted in. In GDPR and CASL, doing a double opt-in, so they opt in and then your email system initiates, and you can do this in most email systems. It's like something you just turn on, that it initiates a second email that says, are you sure you want to opt in? And then they have to double opt in. If you want to play it really safe, you can have this turned on for your business, even if you're US non-California based business. I don't like it. These regulations definitely make marketing harder. So I personally if I'm working with a lot of businesses, we try to not do a double opt-in because a lot of people are busy. They don't have time to read all your emails. They don't have time to double opt in, and you will lose a lot more people who might actually benefit from your messages and want to hear from you. So if I don't have to do it, I don't do it. But when I'm working with a really big business, or we're operating with a lot of customers in Europe and Canada, then we do it because we have to. Then you want to make sure that you're re-permissioning contacts who don't have a consent record. So if there's anyone you can't prove, you would be doing that kind of double opt-in or create an email specifically for that segment of your customers or your email list that would say, do you still want to receive email from us? I will say it's a good practice to make sure you're not spamming people. So you can, most email service providers will let you see who's engaging with your emails regularly and who's not. So you can see like who hasn't opened one of my emails in the last 6 months, last 12 months, and you could send that segment of people an email and say, are you like, you sure you still want to hear from us? We'd love to, stay in touch, but if not, we'll go away, like click this button to continue to hear from us. So that's something that is a best practice, just to make sure your email list doesn't get full of junk over time. And that can lead to like the blacklisting. So doing email hygiene is what I call it on an annual basis to make sure that you don't have a bunch of people in there who no longer want to hear from you is a good practice. Displaying proper contact info. So if you're working with an email service provider, I don't know of a single one that doesn't force you to do this. So a lot of them are trying to keep you out of trouble, but you have to have your business street address and an additional contact method, like an email address within your email. So it builds trust. It makes you look legit, but it's also required by a lot of these regulations. And then hopefully none of you guys would do this anyway, but avoiding fake or misleading information. Like we don't want to have a bait and switch, like we say it's from one person and then they open the email and it's really coming from a totally different business. Generally authentic, clear marketing wins. So, and this is so funny because I was dealing this morning with a client who had an impersonator on their Instagram account. So like this is all out there and people are very wary of it. So don't add to that confusion by doing this intentionally. So avoid fake or misleading information, and then have easy opt-outs with an unsubscribe link. You don't have to have the unsubscribe link like the biggest thing in your email, but it should be conspicuously placed, easy for people to see. I don't generally like, some businesses will cover, like instead of saying unsubscribe, let's say like update your preferences, and they don't actually have a link that says unsubscribe. I find that annoying. Like if someone wants to unsubscribe, we want them out of there. We just don't want to, we want them out of there. So this is required, and most email service providers are going to force you to do that. Getting blacklisted. So let's see, I'm just going to go all out of order here. Here is, if you guys want to, go to this page on my website. I've got a best practices document that gives you some guidance on like subject lines to use and words to avoid and things like that, that'll help keep you out of trouble. It's pretty hard to get blacklisted. Your service providers don't want that to happen, because if you get blacklisted, it negatively impacts their like deliverability score across all of their clients. So they're doing as much as they can do behind the scenes to make it foolproof for you to do the right thing. So, if you work with one of the well-known email service providers, and we'll talk about how to choose one in a little bit, that can really help you avoid those sorts of things. So I honestly, I haven't ever seen it happen to one of my clients, and I've been doing email marketing basically since it began. So the email service providers are going to let you know if they start seeing too many, too many people saying this is spam and reporting you. They're going to get in touch with you and try to help you figure out what to do to solve for that. Because again, you could spoil the whole pot for their entire business. So I don't know if that helps answer that question, but I'm going to go back up to where we left off.
And thank you for the flexibility, Rachel.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so we'll jump into key email, some key emails. So the purpose of email marketing is really to make your business money, generating leads, generating revenue. Yes, we can share nice content, but that content should always be with the purpose of like moving someone down that marketing funnel from awareness to conversion. So we want to think about how can this email drive people to our website. So I've seen a lot of, I guess, rookie mistakes would be people making emails that's just sharing information, no call to action. We're not getting them back to our website where they can hopefully, book a discovery call with us, or buy something, or do, some other next action. So think about how can your email drive people back to your website. We want to convert prospects into customers and clients. We can use email to stay top of mind. So it allows us to give a reason to communicate with these people in their inbox on a regular basis. And we can use it to retain customers and clients. So when you're putting your email together, think like, is it doing at least one of these things? And if not, let's rework it. So one email that I would suggest getting started with, and yes, it's like, really, do people really want to read an email newsletter? I definitely never suggest calling it an email newsletter or e-news, but it's kind of an internal designation of a regular frequency of information that you're going to share with your customers and clients. And you can segment this, but a lot of small businesses, it gets very overwhelming very fast if you have too many segments. So I say like start with one newsletter that makes sense to all of your email folks. And start with monthly. And then if you're rocking it on the monthly frequency, work up to weekly. And the send day and time is really important in terms of the email's effectiveness. So, and when you're getting started, I would say to try sending it at different times of day, different days of the week. If you guys sign up for that giveaway, I just had flashed on the screen, I'll share it with you again at the end, that will have some of my learnings from doing this for a number of years, but really it varies based on business. So I would say test to see what works best for you and your potential customers and clients. And one other mistake, I guess I see a lot of businesses make is they like, putting the email together is hard. So it takes a long time to do that the first time. And they have all these ideas put together. And the email ends up being like really, really long. And people have to scroll forever to get through all of this information. So let's try to think about only 3 ideas per email. You can have just one, but no more than 3. So I'm calling that a content block. And I'll show you an example in a minute. If you have something really important you really want them to do, think about having just one focused email on that idea. The reason for this is, and I tested this recently with one of my clients where they really wanted to add more. So we did it. And their total number of clicks was the same in that email as it is on a typical basis. Like they get 100 clicks every time they send an email. But when they had more things in the email, the clicks were diluted. And so you have fewer people seeing each item. So it's better to have more frequent emails with less stuff in them than it is to pack one email with a lot of information. And you might have the opposite problem where you're like, I don't have anything to say. I don't know what I'm going to put in this email. And you probably have more to say than you think. Before you all got on, Allison was talking about an exercise she does with her clients, where she just has them speak at her about their business and she takes notes. And by the end, just hearing what they have to say equates to quite a lot of content ideas. So if you feel like you don't have anything to say, get a friend, get a family member, talk to them about your business, and maybe they can help you pull those nuggets of wisdom out so that you can come up with your 3 content blocks or your 1 content block. And making sure you have a distinct call to action. Just as we learned this is important to do on your website, it's also important to do in your emails. So when someone gets this email, what do you want them to do next? Having that CTA, call to action, for each idea, just one. We don't want to ask them to do 3 things, or they might do nothing, or they might, it's going to get diluted. So again, one thing that we want them to do. And I like to try a text-based link and a button. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute in the example. So if you're like, I don't know what to write about in my email newsletter, here are some content ideas for service-based businesses. So you could talk about new service offerings, promotions you might have, content giveaways being like those white papers, ebooks, a webinar that you're planning that's coming up, meet the team. People love to know the people behind the brand, talk about your company culture. Case studies are very compelling if they're positive, obviously. And bonus points if you have that case study on your website. So your email would be just a little blurb getting them to your website to read more, where they can then take action. Insights on current events or trends. So Marty was awesome and gave me some of his time in advance of today because he went through the accelerator last time. And so I know his business pretty well. So thanks, Marty, for your help on today's presentation. But anyway, say there's a story about, Marty has a business where he's helping business owners with web accessibility and helping them make sure their websites are accessible and staying in compliance. So if there's a ruling that came out, the government says, we need to do this thing with websites. They need to have this new feature. Marty could share that news story and then share his insights on that current event or trend. So thinking about stuff that relates to your business that you can just comment on. And then if you're a product-based business, similar ideas, talking about product launch announcements, sales and promotions, giveaways, quizzes, which honestly could relate to both kinds of business, behind the scenes story of how products are made. Customers love to see the story behind that. Meeting the team behind the brand, customer testimonials. This could also apply to both, honestly. So like screenshotting your review on Google. And if it's a product, a link to shop that product that's mentioned, and user generated content. So encouraging people to talk about you in their social media feeds. And that can be supported through an email campaign, or if people aren't on social media, just having people send you content that you can then reuse in your emails, because prospective customers trust content created by others, by peers, much more so than they do by the brand. So anyway, and we can go into more details on that in the Q&A or in the mentor hour, because I'm just throwing that out to you guys without a lot of explanation. So an email newsletter example, a lot of these are going to come from Young Mountain Tea. Those of you who went through last accelerator know Raj. He also used to work for Rain. So he's the founder of Young Mountain Tea, which is based in Springfield. And this is one example of one of his newsletters. So it's not like super designed, pretty simple. We just need some photography and some little blurbs. And I just did a little zoom in here so you could see it more easily. But this was around the holidays. We have 8 gift picks for tea lovers. Here's a text-based link. And then here's the button, get the guide. So he created a gift guide around the holidays, which shared, of course, a lot of ideas around things you could buy at Young Mountain Tea, but also other gifty ideas. So it's something that feels not too salesy. People are needing to find gift ideas, in October, November. So this was playing into that, but hoping that it would lead also to people making purchases. And then his other content blocks are highlighting a couple of the key products that are on the gift guide, just kind of reinforcing that. So this button, this call to action says explore now. And this one says, shop today. So I'd love to know what content ideas you guys have for newsletters. Feel free to pop those into the chat so that everyone can learn from your good ideas.
In the meantime, there's a question over here, like what can they call it if it's not e-news or a newsletter?
That's a great question. Internally you can call it that. It doesn't need a name. So if I let me go back. Sorry. I'm lost. Too many monitors up.
We've had some responses in the chat. Some were like weekly inspiration. That was one. Yeah,
well, if you see Young Mountain Teas, they just have a logo at the top. So I would encourage you to develop a very simple header. If you look at big businesses and the emails that they send, it's often just their logo. You don't need a lot, just something to identify that it's you. So we don't even need a title. We don't have to call it anything. It's just an email that you're sending internally. You're coming up with a content calendar for that, just as you would for your social media. But we don't even need to name it. So,
I think the question was around not using sign up for our newsletter. It was around that. That place of what you call this newsletter.
Great, thank you for clarifying. So if you're, if you imagine a footer on a website that could say sign up for our email newsletter, instead it could say I think actually, well, we'll look at the welcome email for Raj's company in a minute, but I think it says, would you like free tea on your first order? Sign up. And so people provide their email address, and what they're signing up for is to get their discount code, but that also enters them into the email newsletter system. And you can be, it's good if you have space on that form, somewhere in the form to say like, by providing your email address, you're signing up for our email newsletter. You can unsubscribe at any time. But, you know, they're going to start getting those emails that now have the unsubscribe link. So that, you know, coming up with an offer, whether it's a content giveaway, a discount on your first order, some kind of reason why they should part with their email address beyond just sign up for our email newsletter. I don't know. Does that answer it?
Yeah, I think it was mostly on that, you know, like if you're deterring people from signing up because of what you wrote on those 3 lines on the pop-up window that you have for people to subscribe, I think that's where the citation comes in. But yeah, it does, I think that you did answer the question. It's essentially offering a reason on why they should subscribe, not just asking them for their email.
Right, perfect. Well said. Thanks, Ani.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks you guys for sharing some ideas. Hopefully that spurs some ideas for those of you who feel like you have nothing to say. I want to jump into a second email idea, and this one is going to be our breakout activity. So you're actually going to be thinking through what would you do for your welcome email series. So welcome email series is something that we send to new contacts. So when you come up with whatever your offer is going to be, you know, sign up today to save 15% on your first order, whatever that is. Then there's a welcome series that's initiated within your email service provider. Most of them should be able to do this, but it does require that you have one to automate this. And this is going to go to all new contacts. You can later get super fancy with it and have it segmented for different segments depending on where that contact came from, but I find that overwhelming to get started, and we want you guys to be able to get started right away. So coming up with an offer that makes sense, and a welcome email series that makes sense given all the different ways that you might be collecting email contacts. So I recommend a welcome series with 3 emails in it. The data has shown that when you just do 1, it's way less effective than when you do 3. People need repetition to be able to generally like latch onto something, to trust you, to make a purchase. So having a 3 email series can be really helpful. And here's some ideas about things that you can say in your first 3 welcome emails. So if you have that offer, like, you know, 15% off your first order when you sign up, then the first email should give them that discount code. How are they going to redeem that 15%? They're going to be waiting for that in their inbox. So sending that immediately when they're really excited about your company, we want to get them to start taking those next actions right away. And then a second email that you could send within a day or 2 that brings them closer to your brand. People want to know, like, what makes you different? Why should I buy from you instead of your competition? So having, you know, some information that brings them a little bit closer to who your brand is, especially if, you know, they saw a Facebook lead gen ad, they don't know a lot about your business, they fill that out. You're going to want to start to like bring them closer so they trust you, so that they want to spend money with your business. And then the third one could be how they can learn more about you. So if you have a blog, encourage them to like check out the blog or subscribe to the blog if that's an option, or subscribe to your podcast or your YouTube channel. If you don't have any of those content engines, that's okay. Thinking about what is something else you have to offer, expertise, some more information, a client case study, you know, something else that gives them a little bit more information that doesn't feel super salesy. And I don't have this mentioned here, but I would also suggest reiterating this discount or whatever the offer was in the first email. So if it's something they haven't yet taken advantage of, reminding them, hey, you have this great deal or you have this free content, make sure you've downloaded it, and you can include that as like a little PS. Which breaks my rule of 1 call to action, but you can make it like a secondary small call to action. So that's a recommended welcome email series. And here's an example from Raj There's Raj right there. So he says, welcome to Young Mountain Tea. Once you fill out the thing that says, yes, I'd like free tea with my first order on his website. This says it's a little hard to read. Oops, a little hard to read. But it says, hi there, my name is Raj. I've been confounded by the leaf since my first transcendental counter with white tea in 2010. So it tells a little bit of story about the beginnings of his company. And then down here, it says, get free Nepali Golden Black with code. There's the discount code. And then how to claim your tea. And then a clear call to action, drink free tea. You click on that and that takes you to the page where there's the Nepali Golden Black, where they can add that to their cart along with anything else they want to buy. The second email in his series has tea with a purpose. So this is more about the mission behind the business. And he included this as a page on his website, which then has all the great e-commerce features of the website, makes it easier to purchase. So he's trying to get them off the email and onto the website. Honestly, this is a little long. We might shorten that in the future. And then he pulled out one of his most popular blogs for the third welcome series, which is how black tea is made. So he shares that. And then at the bottom was a reminder about the discount. And an encouragement to go look at all of the blogs. So that's one example, but you guys will be thinking about how you can do this for your business, because this really applies to any business, nonprofit, for-profit, B2B, B2C. Everybody should be collecting contacts and saying something to them once they receive them. Don't just let them go into the ether. So we'll do that in a minute, but I'd love to know, like half of you don't yet have an email marketing program in place. Some of you have one, but maybe you're not doing it regularly. I'd love to know if you're not already doing email marketing, why not? Share that in the chat.
Can I ask a few questions while you do that?
Absolutely.
So some people are wondering, and I know you're going to be giving some platform examples here in a bit, but you know, like when your system doesn't allow you to do more than one welcome email, what would you recommend in that case?
I would recommend finding a new system because most of them worth their salt should allow you to do multiple rounds of email. They might not always allow that in a free plan. So if you're on a free plan, it may require an upgrade. Having one welcome email is better than none. So if you can't afford the upgrade and you can't find a free system you like that allows for multiple welcome emails, like please at least just do the one. But as your business grows, you're going to need the functionality of an email service provider that allows for multiple emails in a row in a workflow. So I would encourage you, before you put a lot of effort into building out your email campaigns on that one, search for another one that allows you to do that. It's a good question.
Wonderful, thank you. So there's a lot of people that are feeling overwhelmed. That's part of the reason they're not using their email marketing. Some of them are just not sure where to start at all. Some of them is just the time in order to create it and to polish it. That's another thing, right? Like when you send an email and there's an error in it. Oh no, it's the end of the world. No. So it's okay to make mistakes. We are human.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and I still get nervous every time I push send or schedule. Like, oh, because once it's out in their inbox, you can't change it. Unlike social media, you can update the caption if it has a typo in it, and the email you can't. But yes, we're human and we might make mistakes. It's okay. So I see a question about like how tech savvy do you need to be? There's a lot of, if you feel like this is just not in your wheelhouse, you can find a lot of freelancers for cheap, honestly, on like Fiverr, Upwork, that could help you with this, at least to help you get started. If you don't have the time, I highly recommend making the time or hiring someone to help you, because it is going to be a revenue or lead generator for your business if done well and if some effort is put into it. And I'd love to actually transition to Angela. Are you on the call today? I've been able to see. If so, unmute yourself. There she is.
Thanks.
So Angela went through this accelerator last time, and she's in the accelerator now as well. And she and I have worked together a little bit on email marketing in between. And I know she had a lot of hangups around getting started too. So Angela, could you kind of just talk about your experience and how you got over that hump and what you can offer to your peers?
Yeah, absolutely. How I got over the hump was I won one of the pitch contest awards, and I got 10 hours of Raychel Kolen. And that's how I got over the hump. I would not have done it without the actual side-by-side help of someone helping me, because I've been trying to do this for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I've been trying to start a newsletter, and all of the people that are chatting, it's like, I don't know where to start. I don't have the time. I don't want to be one of those people I don't like that are always trying to email me. All of those things kind of roll in the back of your head and stop you from like concentrating on why you want to get out to your people. And my group wants to know about family history. They want to know how to record something great for their mom's 80th birthday party. So keeping that focus in mind helped me. And then starting a newsletter was like the best thing I did for my business this year. 100%. And I couldn't have done it without Rachel's help. So.
Okay, I think you could. Angela did a lot of it on her own. That's great to hear. But yeah, if you feel like you need an expert, someone to kind of sit with you to get you started, look at hiring some of those cheap freelancers, or the Raindrops program can be really useful for that. But honestly, Angela, you're like doing it on your own now.
I am.
Just getting started.
Because it was really helpful just to have someone there when you hit all those little hurdles that start to come up. It's like, oh, I have to have a subject line. What do I put in my subject line? Oh, I have to have this. Oh, and then you said I need to have like a lead magnet. And it's like, well, where am I going to put this great lead magnet when I'm not happy with my website? Not there. My dormant LinkedIn page. No, I'm not going to do it there. So I had to actually create a welcome letter. So that's how I went about it. Is I had my client base. They were there waiting. I just had to tap them. So Rachel helped me craft I'm starting and I actually did call it a newsletter. So fail on that part. It's like, I'm starting my very first newsletter. I would love for you to join for this reason. And then I had to create the link and now all of those fears that I saw in the chat are gone, because the response was, I'm so happy you're doing this. This is amazing. I'm glad you're out here. I'm glad that we're going to stay in contact. And I've gotten 2 leads, and I've sent 2 emails out, and I've gotten 2 really good leads just because I'm talking directly to my ideal customer.
So good to hear. Thank you, Angela. Yeah. Ani, did you have something to say?
No, I was just applauding that. It's amazing that you got 2 leads with 2 emails. It's you decided to get yourself out there, and it generated a result. And sometimes it's not going to generate a result, but you keep trying, and at some point it's going to generate the result that you want. So this is a great example. I love it.
Yeah. And I just told Rachel before that the thing that I was dreading doing, I can't wait to do now. So I've crossed the chasm.
I love to hear that. So yeah, I think sometimes it's just doing it for the first time, letting those voices in your head go away, just scheduling time to do it as if it's a meeting that you can't miss. Having some discipline around just like, I'm going to make this happen. I do think it gets easier the more that you do it. So, hopefully today's exercise can help you guys. We can transition to that. Ani, there's a lot more slides too. So I don't know if we should do maybe just 10 minutes in the breakout session.
Could I just say that the email chat has been disabled for some reason? I wasn't able to put something in the chat. Could someone reinstall that?
It's likely that your window just went away.
My chat is also disabled.
Yeah, my chat is disabled as well.
Yeah, my chat.
Oh, well. Nate, can you figure that out, please?
Yeah, let me see if I can work on that. It's a little bit of mystery.
Thank you. Okay. So I just asked Nate to do one thing, and now and now I want to ask him to do another one, which is let's go into breakout rooms. So yeah, if people are, yeah, it's there. The window is there. It is working. It's all good now.
Okay, great.
All right. Okay, excellent. So I know we haven't been in a breakout room for a bit. So let's go into a breakout room. Let's do some 10 minutes. Let's start brainstorming ideas on what your welcome series is going to look like. And then we'll come back. And I did copy all of the questions that you guys have on the chat. So we'll just start going over those questions. I might prioritize some that are more general so that most people can benefit. And do remember, please, and try to connect tomorrow for her mentor hour at 11, correct? I don't have my calendar in hand, but yes.
And Ani, I do have more content to share too when we get back from the breakthrough.
Oh, wonderful.
Breakout.
Sounds good. Hello, sorry it wasn't a lot of time. I know you guys are bummed out. Some of you are like, oh no, we're just getting started. So, but we still have more information to share. And yeah. Okay, so Rachel, you can continue. I don't know if we want to do a few questions and then continue.
Sure.
Yep. All right. What's a typical click-through rate? And you know, like what insights or what kind of goals can you have when it comes to open rates?
This is the click-through rate is actually not a stat I have on the top of my head, and it does depend on the industry a little bit. So I know a lot of small businesses use MailChimp. So I'm going to use that as an example. In MailChimp, it'll actually tell you your average click-through rate, your average open rate, and then compare you to your industry. So you can get that benchmarking within the system. And a lot of other email systems will do that as well. I threw out the 20% for a newsletter is actually pretty good these days. And that's definitely true. So in our breakout session, one of our cohorts shared that she gets like 39% open rates. That's great. Someone from the last accelerator actually just shared with me, they got 90% open rates. That's incredible. But what that also says to me is your list is probably too small. It's like your friends and family who care about everything you do, and they're going to open every email they get from you. So they're like, as your list grows, you can expect your open rates to drop because people are going to be less close to you, maybe a little bit less of a qualified lead. And that's okay. Don't freak out. But if your list size is staying the same and your email open rates are dropping, that's a problem. So I actually do have in here, I'm just going to keep going around. We've got stuff about testing and then metrics to look at. So really what most matters is like what's normal for you, and is your experience going up or down? Are your metrics going up or down? If they're going down, that's concerning. If you don't know why, then like what things can we try to make the email more effective? So most systems, not always on the free system, but on at least a small paid system, will let you A/B test, meaning you try different variables in this. So the email is completely the same with one variable changing. So you can change up the send day, the send time, your subject line, and here's some things to try, like emojis at the beginning, at the end, no emojis, all caps, no caps, using the word free and taking the word free out, things like that might look spammy. Changing who it's from. Does it come from the founder? Does it come from the company? So testing these kinds of things can help you determine if it's more, what's working. And as your list grows, a change in 1%, like you get a 1% better open rate, that can mean a lot more people seeing it as your list size grows. So these things really do matter. And just because one is right for now, like I often will retest the same thing a year from now and make sure that my findings from a year ago are still true today. And those KPIs, the data that is important to look at, looking at the open rates. And again, what is your open rate and is it going up or down? If it's going down, relook at your subject lines and your from line and see if you can make tweaks there. Your click-through rates, are they going up or down? I shared that one client's click-through rates went down when they added a bunch more stuff into their email, but their overall number of clicks stayed the same. And I want to say, again, I feel like a good click-through rate is like 5%, but again, this will vary based on your particular industry and kind of what's normal for you. How much revenue or how many leads are you generating from your emails? Is that going up or down? Your unsubscribe rate, you're going to get some unsubscribes. I wouldn't fret too much about a few, but if you say you change your frequency, you started monthly and you bring your email newsletter up to weekly and you see your unsubscribe rate, the percentage of unsubscribes go way up, you're probably sending too frequently. You scared people away. So that can be a good indicator of how things are going. And then your performance, how soon after the email is sent are people opening it? This is something you should be able to see in your email service provider. And what I normally see is people are opening them within an hour or two, and then it really tapers off after that, which is why coming up with a good send time is really important. What I see with a lot of businesses is they'll like, you're trying to do everything for your business and you don't have time and you're creating the email at 1 a.m. and then you push send on that. As soon as it's done, you're like so excited, you push send. But 1 a.m. on like a Saturday is maybe not the best time to be emailing people. And pretty soon their email inbox is going to be full of a bunch of junk and they're never going to see your email. So some days and times that I found work well are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for B2B businesses in the mornings. So like sometime between 5:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. and you can test that. And then Saturdays work really well for B2C businesses, and B2C businesses also can do the Tuesday through Thursday. But again, within that, testing different send days, send times, seeing what works for you. I don't know if I even answered that question. Did I get an answer? Yeah.
I think you did. Your next slide, though, that was about email marketing vendors. People are asking quite a bit here which vendors are good. If you would recommend they use the Squarespace email feature, or if they should be using MailChimp. There's also Klaviyo. They were also asking about where to find those metrics that you were talking about, and it does look like it is platform specific.
Yeah. They'll usually have like an analytic, they'll call it analytics or insights or something like that. And most of these platforms too have customer service on chat or email. So I encourage you to use those people. I found for all the platforms I've worked in, they're actually really good. So reaching out to them when you have platform specific questions, Googling a lot of these companies have a ton of resources online. And so you can look up like, how do I find my analytics in Constant Contact? And Constant Contact has a page, it'll be displayed and you can read through those directions if you're not finding it. So I found a lot of great help just online and from customer service reps. But when choosing a vendor, if you don't already have one, or if you have one, but you're not super invested in it, think about, is it going to integrate easily with my website? Because we want to be setting up these automations that are like, you collect contact info on your website, and then immediately they get the welcome email. If your email service provider doesn't have an integration built with your website platform, that can create a lot of headaches for you. So making sure that whichever one you choose works well with the website platform that you're on. And then look at the pricing now. So a lot of the email service providers have a free plan. A lot of those free plans aren't going to last you long. It's like you get to send 1 email a month, or you get 250 contacts, which you'll hopefully grow up beyond pretty quickly. So think about what am I going to need as my business grows? How expensive is this going to be before you sign on for one? That was a tip I got from Ranjit. I don't know if he's here today, but he met with me also in advance of this. And that was, something that he considers is like, how much is this going to cost me in the future? What features are available? So making sure it can do workflows, that ideally you can do at least three emails in a welcome series. And what are the security features? Like, can you set up 2-factor authentication? You want to make sure your email system isn't going to be easily hacked. So looking into what are their security measures, How is their customer service? Are they going to be available to you on phone, on chat, on email? You know, like testing that out a little bit before you really invest in an email marketing program and spend the time to build your workflows there. And then deliverability is something I got asked about a lot last time. So I've got this, this website is awesome. This woman just retested this in April of 2022. And there's a lot more service providers. This is just a snapshot of a few of them. She found the average deliverability score was 84.2%, meaning 84.2% of the emails were delivered. And you can see it's red if it went down, like, so active campaign got worse in the last year or last 6 months, but it's still excellent. It's at a 90.2 deliverability over 84.2 average. MailChimp's at 85.9. It got better in the last 6 months. And you'll see a lot of these fluctuate over time. Constant Contact, 90.9. So in April, you were saying that your constant contact emails, you hear people don't get them, but actually their deliverability is pretty excellent. So you can look at the service providers you're considering and match them against the test on this website and see, you know, definitely don't pick Benchmark. They're at 40.3 deliverability. So like, if you're on that, I hope you can get off that system soon, because we want to make sure the work you're putting into these emails is being seen by your recipients. A few email service providers, there's so many out there that I personally have worked with and recommend are these 4, and they're listed kind of in order of cheapest to most expensive. And usually cheapest also means the least robust. So Klaviyo, you can do a lot with Klaviyo. It's also a steeper learning curve. So I find that like the more flexibility a platform has, the harder it is to learn. So anyway, and someone was asking in our breakout about CRMs, like HubSpot has a built-in customer relationship management system, meaning you can keep track of all of your sales funnel, all of your contacts, not just an email, but like all of your interactions with them, things they do on your website, all of that. So anyway, these are 4 that I recommend. There's a ton more out there. If you guys want to share what email service providers you use, especially if it's one you're happy with, in the chat, that would be great. So your colleagues can learn from you. And then
question.
Yeah.
There are some people that have an email address that begins with info, and they have noticed that that might go to spam immediately. Is there a way around that?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't personally experienced that. But so you're saying that the like reply email that you set up in your email service provider is a more generic info at? I have not encountered that. So I guess I would say try having something that's more personal, that looks less spammy. But in my experience, that hasn't been an issue. A lot of my clients are using those more general inboxes and still having a lot of success with people receiving their emails.
Yeah, that was my question. And yeah, it's not just ours. It's when I send a marketing email, I go through like the bounce back emails. And so many people that I know have signed up and wants to get our newsletter because they're like info at, or, you know, so-and-so at the company, it bounces back, and there's multiple emails like that in our stuff.
If I may chime in, just a suggestion, I dealt with this not too long ago with a client. You can actually verify your emails and the DNS records on the back end of your website. So one thing to look into is whether you have actually verified any email address that you're using with your DNS records and your email provider. Just a thought.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you. And that's something, even like the MailChimps of the world, you can do that in there. And yeah, so that's a great tip. I think that was April speaking. Sorry, I can't see everybody's video, but
Allison.
Allison. Oh, sorry, Allison
No worries.
speaking. I'm like, oh, I can't see anybody's faces. Anyway, yeah, that's a great tip. And making sure your domain is registered with your email service provider should help with deliverability. I don't know if that would fix the situation of the person who was speaking, or were you saying that a lot of the recipients of your emails have the info at?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's just hard to get around. If that's the email that people provide and they have an aggressive spam filter, or, you know, they're not receiving those emails, then there's no way around that. But if you're having those conversations, if it's like a one-on-one conversation with someone, making sure that you're collecting an email from them where they can actually receive the email. And you could say, if they give you that, like, hey, I've had some, haven't had a lot of luck getting emails through. Is there another email address that we can retain for you? Something along those lines, but it's not always possible if you're not having those conversations. Okay. So I have a lot more to share, but we also only have 11 minutes. So I don't know if we want to, if I should breeze, maybe 5 minutes breezing through this stuff, and then we could do some more Q&A.
I would like to ask these guys, can you guys write in the chat, what do you want to do? You want to continue with presentation? Do you want to do Q&A? I need your answers in 3, 2, 1. Presentation, continue. Yes, okay.
So just real briefly, if you're an e-commerce company selling stuff online, please have an abandoned cart series and don't just use the one out of the box if you're like a Shopify customer. So because this doesn't apply to everyone, I'm just going to breeze through this, but if you guys have questions about applying these, please come to the mentor hour or email me, and I'm happy to work with you one-on-one outside of this. Lead nurture series, this falls in kind of like the funnel building process, creating another workflow. And this, honestly, this is kind of a blown out welcome email. Considering the from field should be the name of the person that the customer client's going to be interacting with. So if that's a salesperson, if it's you, often the from field feels more personal. These emails don't need to be very flashy, not very designed. They should look personal, like they're coming from you, but don't actually send any of these mass emails from your own personal email address, or you're violating that canned spam law. So make sure that it's still going through your email service provider. I recommend starting with a 5 email series, and here's some ideas for what content could be in those 5, but I'm going to show you an example from Ellen Yin. You guys might recognize that face over there, who was our speaker at the beginning of the accelerator. If you go to her website, she does an excellent job of lead nurturing. And I love to just learn from what other people are doing and then be inspired by them. So you don't have to start from scratch. Obviously, you're not going to plagiarize her, but you can see kind of what she's doing by going to her website and clicking on this button, and then seeing what unfurls after that. So you'll get asked when you click on that to provide your name. So this is obviously, instead of saying, can we subscribe you to our email newsletter? She says, get instant access to watch this on-demand masterclass and download the accompanying 10K month workbook. First name, email, send to my inbox. And so immediately I get this email from her. It says, download 6 figures in 6 months case study with a link to download the income report. She does have a few other calls to action, so violating the single call to action, but she does clearly have one dominant call to action, one thing she really wants you to do. When you click download that report, you get this 17-page PDF, her cubicle to CEO kind of case study. At the end of that, page 16, she has want more income insights, subscribe to my podcast. So it's kind of like bringing you closer in. And then at the very end of that download, she's got another thing you can do. You can watch another class of hers. So she's giving you lots of content to try to get you more excited about eventually spending money with her. And then what ensued after I filled that out, I got 15 emails from her in the course of a week and a half. And these subject lines give you a little hint of kind of what's inside. But you guys, again, I encourage you to sign up and just kind of see how she's doing this to help give you ideas for your business. And you'll see that the from line is Ellen Yin. So anyway, that's one I wanted to share with you. I encourage you to go check that out. And actually, maybe now we made it through almost everything. So I'm just going to skip now to, we talked about legal stuff. The other retention activities, since today is also about client retention. So one marketing principle, if any of you went to marketing school, you learned this probably way back when. RFM, recency, frequency, monetary, is kind of what drives customer loyalty. So the more recently someone interacted with you or purchased from you, the more frequently they're making that purchase, or more frequently they're interacting, and the more money they're spending with you, the more likely they are to stick around as a customer. So think about what can you do to increase someone's recency, frequency, monetary, like Ellen sending 15 emails that I'm engaging with and watching something with everyone, like that's increasing my frequency for sure. Makes me more likely to want to spend money with her. So some other ways outside of email marketing that you can think about how to retain your customers. Create a subscription offering, and this can apply to lots of different kinds of businesses. If you're a nonprofit, you know, a lot of you are doing like a monthly giving campaign, so someone signs up to just donate a little bit every month. But think about what is some kind of recurring revenue model that you can introduce into your business that kind of forces someone to stick with you until they decide to opt out. Cross and upselling. So if you know, they buy one service, but you have a more premium service, how do you get them to that level so that they're spending more, increasing their monetary? Loyalty programs are really effective at obviously keeping people. And there's a lot of apps to help you do this. So you don't have to like create all the technology on your own. This is something that you can buy out of the box. It's usually pretty inexpensive depending on your website platform. Have an excellent product. If you've got an excellent product, people are going to keep coming back for it, or service, and have excellent customer service. I remember early on, one of you, I think was a contractor, said, we get a lot of business just because we answer our phone and we get back to people. Like having really good customer service is going to keep people coming back for more. Using marketing automation to re-engage customers and other targeted communications. We've talked about the welcome series, abandoned cart, the lead nurturing, that's marketing automation. But there's lots of ways that you can create targeted communications. You can send mailers to people. You can send like little thank you notes in their package. So there's lots of ways to send communications to people that speaks to them like you know who they are, because you do based on their behavior with your business. Having a generous returns policy if you're product-based, or like a money back guarantee kind of thing if you're service-based, removes that barrier. Before I started Muse, I was the marketing director at Mountain Rose Herbs. And we analyzed our customer data and found that the thing that kept people coming back the most was if they used our returns policy, which, you know, was hard. It was like expensive, and the management wanted to get rid of it and make it less generous. But once you see the value that offering these kinds of things has on customers, it wins their loyalty when they can successfully engage with you, and rarely they ask for the money back. But just having that helps keep them interested in coming back for more. And having thank you gifts, like acknowledging that they've been with you for a year or 5 years and thanking them for their business can go a long way as well. So those are just, oops, I should actually go to the next slide. Those are just a few additional ideas. I know we just have a few minutes left. So here's a reminder, you guys can sign up for this little free giveaway on my website. And again, we'll have mentor hours soon, May 12th from 11 to 12 Pacific time. I'll be available to answer more questions, or feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. I've actually gotten a few emails from people asking about you not being available for raindrops. So I'm sorry, guys.
I'm full right now, but it might open back up. We just got a bunch of, I think I just got 10 people added. So we'll work through those, and then I might be available later. But
sounds
attend the mentor hour, send me emails, all of that's free for you.
Yes, this is wonderful. I think you should definitely take a screenshot of this chat, Rachel, because right now they are just giving you really great reviews for your use about your presentation. You know, people are very happy about this. Definitely something that's very useful for them. I'm going to go through a few questions. If you guys need to head out, that's okay. I was going to start talking to you a little bit about your pitch for the competition, but I think we can do that on an email with just one piece of content, things that we're learning on this class. And so that way we can just use this few more minutes on answering the questions that you have. And then I will send those questions to Raychel anyways, the ones that we didn't answer, to see if we can just do those during the mentor hours. Connect tomorrow at 11 in the morning Pacific time. I have been recording these sessions and sending you the link and the passcode on Zoom. These are not processed as fancy as the main sessions are and uploaded on YouTube. This is more for your guys to use. So you will have access to that if you miss it. All right, so some questions over here. Should you consider your site design based on your email marketing impact?
No, I guess if you haven't started a website and you haven't started email marketing, you could consider them all in one. But generally, I would say, you know, your website design can drive what your emails look like. And often emails are even more simple. Like you can't use a lot of different fonts in emails generally, or they're not going to be displayed by most email servers. So you might not be able to perfectly match the branding anyway, from your email newsletters to your website. So I would say start with your website. Just make sure that the email service you use integrates well with your website platform.
Awesome.
I know there's not a lot of time today, so I would add I'm also a mentor with RAIN, and so I'm going to be adding another mentor hour for my cohort, but I can open it up to other people as well. So just know there could be 2 opportunities for you guys to sit in on a session with me between now and then.
That is wonderful. It does look like people are. This is a very popular opinion.
Happy to help. Any other questions we want to ask now?
So the other mentor hour is not defined yet, but the one tomorrow is the one that's definitely on the calendar. Another question, is it common for a new subscriber to lose their welcome email and fall into spam? Is there a way to prevent or remedy that?
So yeah, you can prevent things going to spam by avoiding spammy words. So there's like free, lots of exclamation marks, lots of things going in caps, like all caps. Anything that sounds too salesy often gets flagged by spam filters. So I try to make it as unsalesy as possible, honestly. And another thing that I've found gets opens is having it written in title case. So like every letter is capitalized. That can help. But you know, we're not going to get seen by 100% of the people that we send to. If you get feedback that there's a lot of emails going to spam filter, I would say look at your subject line and was there anything in it that like felt like it was being written by like some kind of internet sleazeball. Not that you're trying to do that, but anyway, that would be my suggestion. And again, if you guys sign up for that giveaway, it'll have a link to a bunch of spammy words and things that you might want to avoid.
Awesome. All right. So we are on the top of the hour, and I do want to be respectful of everybody's time and of your time, Raychel. I know there are a lot of questions, but with the mentor hour tomorrow and the additional mentor hour that you will be hosting, I think that's good. But most importantly, it just seems like you need to open up space on your agenda so people can have their one-on-one with you.